Hey guys, it's Gary, aka Tuxedo Jericho, here for DMGG Productions with yet another Real Talk. I had no idea I was going to do this until I responded to a forum post on the roosterteeth.com forums last night, and I'm going to amend the original poster's thing. His was "How has the internet ruined your life?" But I'm going to take it of "How has the internet affected society?" But in both good and bad ways. First of all, I'm going to go with some of the bad ones. It seems like some people are now starting to be, instead of being more sociable with people in real life, they do their socializing on the computer, on the internet. Look at how many people, on Facebook or other social media sites, and that's about the only way that they communicate with anybody. I mean, me personally, I use Facebook to keep up with what people are doing, especially people who I may or may not see a lot in my normal day-to-day activities. Twitter, of course, I have some people who are local, but a lot of times it's people from out of the area that I've known from all over the internet in my history on the internet. But it seems like a lot of people on the internet, they feel like they're like on the sites that allow you to post anonymously, like topics.com, that they tend to be more controversial, more standoffish than they would if their username had to be associated with them. They think there's real anonymity on sites like Topics, but they fail to realize that if they push something too bad and somebody really wants Topics to look into, and for something that they may have said that could be slanderous or be held for was it libel? I can't remember the pronunciation of the word. Be held liable for what they say. Is that they still can, because Topics does have the IP addresses that the people posted from, and if it turns out like somebody's posting, on a Morristown, Tennessee Topics post, and it's showing them as coming up from like Russia, well, it's not too hard for government officials to backtrace, even if you're going through a proxy server, and find out exactly where your stuff originated from. At one point within the last year or two, on another local town Topics forum, there was a thread about people having, two people having public sex at one of the public parks, and saying that it was somebody prominent in the town. It turns out it wasn't, and the person had actually tried to start a lawsuit against the people that started the forum, and that it's stuff like that kind of hurts, or it doesn't really allow. It shows that you're not really as anonymous as you really think you are. I don't remember much about what was going on. I've read a little bit of it, and then I just looked at it for a couple minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm done, and went away from the post. So I haven't really kept up to date with it. But yeah, even now it seems like some people, my age, anywhere from mid to late 20s to early mid 40s, get on Topics and start causing drama. There's been posts about people, or news stories about people getting in fights, and even physical assault, and I think even murder because somebody unfriended them on Facebook. Dear God, if you're entire persona is going to be based on, how many people are your Facebook friends, then you need to do something else besides have a computer and have access to the internet. You really need to find out what's important to you. And that's another thing, there are people who think, oh wow, if I have 1,000+ friends on Facebook, that means I'm important. No, it doesn't. It just means that anybody that sends you a friend request on Facebook, you go accept, and then people wonder why stuff you said gets around to somebody else, and that but yeah, like drama, I mean, literally there's people late 20s to mid 40s who are posting like they're still at the high school mentality level, which they probably still are. They probably never mentally matured past that point. And that, I've seen some of it too, where like some people I went to high school with were, they want to, talk bad about everybody, but then, oh dear Lord, if somebody says something bad about them, they're all ready to fight. Get over it. You're not that important. You never will be, and you never were. Not even while you were, in high school. Another bad thing is how people fail to spell on the internet. You run across these things where people use, sort of the texter language to post. Instead of posting, or instead of typing out Y-O-U-R for your, they put U-R. It's like, why? You're lazy. You've saved yourself a second by not typing two letters that are right close. Instead of say A-R-E space Y-O-U for R-U, go R-U. Ready. It's like, it's to the point, we used to think that the people who were speaking Ebonics were going to be the destroyers of the English language. No, you might have started some of it, but no, these people that actually write in texter language probably going to do most of the job of destroying the English language. And then they wonder why they get F's on their English papers while they're in high school. It's like, nobody's going to let you turn this in. And that, but yeah, it is kind of crazy. However, let's stop with some of the bad stuff of the internet. I know it seems like bashing the internet's so fun, but let's talk about the good aspects of the internet. On the internet now, before the internet, the only way you had to communicate with somebody is either see them in person or pick up the phone and dial their phone number and talk to them. And that meant you had to know their phone number. Now with the internet, you can communicate with somebody, on the other side of the world, or with a family member that's living 1,000 miles off, and not cost a dime. Well, outside of the internet access fees charged by your internet service provider. Now, if you want to real-time video chat with somebody, you can. Before, if you wanted to video chat with somebody, it was very stop motion-y, because the frames per second just weren't there all that much. Excuse me. Like on Facebook, if you have a friend that you haven't talked to in years, and they're living in Miami, and you're all the way in out near Seattle, Washington, you can communicate with them in a matter of a second and have a dialogue going back and forth with, and that which is awesome. on the internet, if you have something to say, chances are more people are gonna hear it, or well, I should say see it, unless you do a video and they actually physically hear you say the stuff. And of course, that can also go to one of the bad things on the internet is, before, if you wanted to have a soapbox to stand up on your soapbox and say what you're going to, and it's only the people around you that heard it. Now, if you get on top of your soapbox, post something in a blog or post something on an internet site, well, more people can see it now. That's not necessarily a good thing, because you can oftentimes come across as an idiot. There's the old saying, say nothing and make people think you're a fool, rather than open your mouth and let them know you're a fool. But yeah, another good thing is now with TV shows, if if you didn't record a show on a VHS tape, and you missed a show, you missed it. You had to wait for it to come on reruns somewhere down the road, and sometimes shows, it would be like 2 or 3, 4 years before they would get to rerunning what that episode that you missed was. Now a lot of TV shows and networks have their websites online that within a week they've posted the most recent episode, and you can go back and watch it full with limited commercial interruptions. And a lot of shows, now instead of being just mainly run by LA and Hollywood for TV shows, you've now got stuff that's made, short content that's just as good, if not better than some of the, it may not be as fancy looking as some of the TV shows, but, web content. Of course, one of the earliest adopters, of course, was Red vs. Blue from Rooster Teeth Productions. But with it lasting 12 years, it's now one of the longest running sci-fi show, I should say successive season sci-fi show. But yeah, the internet's led to a lot of great stuff. It's also led to people who would have never amounted to much fame getting famous, for doing stuff on YouTube, from doing gameplay videos and stuff like what I'm doing, basic vlogs, and gameplay footage and all that never would have made it. Of course, it's hard for people to remember the time before YouTube, but there were a time whenever it wasn't that easy to put up a video on the internet. If you did, you had to host it yourself, and damn if that didn't get expensive. Just listen to some of the stuff Bernie Burns said about whenever they hosted, the first, season of Red vs. Blue, whenever they got a bill from their hosting company of $12,000 for bandwidth. It's like now you can go to sites like GoDaddy.com and put up a site and not have to worry, because you have infinite amount of bandwidth or storage space for your website. Before, websites that, personal websites, they had to be within a certain amount and couldn't be much over that without running out of your disk quota or your storage quota and that. And then bandwidth, if you went over, say, 500 megabytes a month, for traffic, your site was shut down for a while and stuff like that. We constantly think, hey, what's next? How can the internet get any better or any worse? And then there's always something that comes up that's like, wow, this is awesome, or wow, that's horrible. You know, it's funny how technology works. You know, you can look at video games. Whenever we had the NES originally, we're like, wow, this looks so real. Then it's whenever the Super Nintendo comes up, it's like, whoa, this looks even more real. Then we went on to the N64 and then the PS1. It's like, wow, look at this. It looks so fluid and lifelike. And it's funny now, with something like Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PS3 or Xbox 360, with all its fancy graphics, and it looks more realistic than anything that we've had video game wise before. And then people are going, wow, that looks so pixelated. It's like, have you ever saw the original Super Mario World or Super Mario Brothers? That was pixelated. I mean, it looked like he was jumping up and busting blocks with his head instead of punching them. And the 8-bit sprites, now we have all these fancy graphics and shaders and lighting engines and physics engines that make games look almost super realistic. And then a lot of the stuff from stuff like I'm going to use Grand Theft Auto 5 again for its next gen console release, where it looks just tremendous whenever it comes out later this year. But yeah, and that. What's some of your guys' thoughts on how has the internet affected your life? How has it affected society? If you want to, leave a comment below and say, hey, all the internet's really helped because of this, or man, it's really hurt because of this. Put yourself out there. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a follow up on this one and do fan suggestion or do fan comments on that. Anyway, guys, peace out. God bless.